Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to Rocket Rambles, and today we're gonna be rambling about Five Nights at Freddy's. Duh, duh, that's where I wanna be. Ba 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 ba. Actually, that was a bit of a lie. I don't want to be there because I'm not really a fan of the franchise. I haven't played any of the games. I only know lore from the memes, and I didn't go watch the movie. That movie is the focus of this Rocket Ramble, though, because even though I'm not a FNAF fan, I've been fascinated by the discourse surrounding this film and wanted to give a perspective of a non-fan regarding the recent box office decline. I'm sure you're all aware of the massive opening the FNAF movie had last week. $80 million domestically. That made it the second highest opening weekend box office for a video game movie ever. With such a strong opening, you'd expect the movie to keep doing well on its second weekend, right? Well, we don't know the exact numbers yet, but predictions are coming in from numerous sources suggesting that the film's box office is about to have one of the worst drops in film history. Discussing Film says it's estimated to make $17 million in the second weekend, a 78% drop. The Hollywood Handle is a bit more generous, making an estimation of around $20 million, but that's still a 75% drop. So no matter which prediction you choose, this is still pretty bad. As the Hollywood Handle states, this would be the second worst weekend decline for a film that opened to over $45 million. To give you a bit of a comparison, let's look at the second weekend drop-offs of the two other major video game movies that have released recently, the Super Mario Bros. Movie and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The Mario movie opened to $146 million domestically, and then the next weekend, it still made $92 million. That's only a 37% drop. Now, this may not be the most fair comparison because the Mario movie was a box office juggernaut, but a comparison to Sonic 2 would be more fair since it opened to $72 million, only $8 million under the FNAF movie. On its second weekend, Sonic 2 made $29 million, a 59% drop. That's a pretty normal drop-off. You usually see a decrease of somewhere between 50 and 60% on the second weekend for most major films. Mario's drop-off was abnormally low, but FNAF's drop-off is abnormally high. So that begs the question, why? What about the FNAF movie caused this massive drop-off? Why is no one going to see it on its second weekend? Well, obviously I'm just one guy, so I can't give you the exact reason, but I'm gonna take a similar approach to what I did in my previous box office analysis video about Barbie vs. Mario and list off what I believe to be the major reasons. Number 1. The FNAF movie released on Peacock the same day as it did in theaters. Now, Peacock isn't the most popular streaming service, but it does have a decent handful of subscribers, and I'm sure all of them opted to watch the FNAF movie at home since it was right in front of them. This simultaneous release in theaters and on streaming was nice back in 2021 when different parts of the world were in different stages of opening up after the thing that happened in 2020 that I can't say or else YouTube will mark this video. But now, in 2023, this approach is outdated. Pretty much everyone can go to a theater now, so if you want your box office to be as big as possible, why would you release it on streaming at the same time? Wait at least a month so theaters have some exclusivity, especially for a film as big as this. Perhaps this is a case where they weren't sure how successful the film would be, so they put it on Peacock just to be safe, and if that's the case, then oh boy, they underestimated the FNAF fandom. And speaking of that fandom, that perfectly takes me into my second point. The entire fandom already saw the movie. Go on YouTube and you can find footage of insane crowds during the opening weekend, cheering loudly whenever a reference appears on screen. The fandom gave this movie a huge boost on its opening weekend, which is probably how it got the second largest video game movie opening ever. But that trick can only work on one weekend, because now the entire fandom has already seen the movie. They all showed up to theaters, had a good time, and now are watching analysis videos on YouTube all day breaking down the Easter eggs and lore implications. The fandom boost is over, so now the movie needs to rely on non-fans to come support the movie in the following weeks. Which perfectly brings me to my third and probably strongest point. Non-fans aren't going to watch the movie, and there's one major reason for that. I hate to bring it up, but The critic score. Wait, please don't leave. I know a ton of people hate critic scores, but hear me out. A critic's job is to guide audiences on whether a movie is worth their time and money to go see in a theater. But there's an important detail here. They aren't guiding FNAF fans, they're guiding general audiences. What did FNAF fans want out of this movie? Well, I'm not a FNAF fan, but from what I've seen online, most of them wanted a good representation of the game's world, characters, and lore, plus some fun references to the franchise. And from what I've heard, the movie delivered on all those fronts, so most fans are satisfied. Most of the positive fan reviews I've seen talk about how much love the film showed to the franchise, from the animatronic designs to the cameo appearances. And that's great! I'm glad fans got an experience that rewards them for sticking with the franchise for so long. If you liked the movie solely for the fan service, that's not a bad thing, and your opinion is completely valid. But other perspectives must also be considered. Imagine you're someone that's not a FNAF fan watching this movie. They don't care about how the animatronics look or who cameos in the film. They just want a good movie. That's who the critics are rating the movie for. Not the fans, but normal people who have no attachment to the franchise. And from what I've heard, this movie isn't very good if you're not familiar with the franchise. The best review I've heard online from a non-fan is that the movie's fine, just a basic horror film. And again, that's the nicest one. Most of them are way more critical than that. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't verify whether these opinions are correct, but I've heard enough people that I trust say this opinion to assume that it's probably true. So, if you're a regular person looking for a movie to watch and all you hear about the FNAF movie is that it's a below average horror film that's mainly designed for fans of the franchise, that's not really gonna motivate you to check it out. This is the ultimate pitfall of movies exclusively made for fans. If you want to make a big box office splash, you need to appeal to non-fans too, because most fandoms aren't big enough to make $1 billion box office success all by themselves. This is almost identical to what I discussed in my Barbie vs. Mario video. The Mario movie was essentially a giant Easter egg hunt for Mario fans, while the Barbie movie offered a genuinely fun theater experience regardless of your connection to the franchise, which is what I believe ultimately led Barbie to beating Mario in the box office. The FNAF movie and the Mario movie have the same exact core flaw, except it's hurting the FNAF movie way more than the Mario movie because FNAF has a significantly smaller fandom. The Mario franchise is multi-generational, releasing hit games for over 35 years, while the FNAF franchise is less than 10 years old and doesn't have that same reach. So, I predict that the box office drop-off will only get worse and worse for the FNAF movie as time goes on. But don't worry, FNAF fans, because that first weekend was still strong enough to make this movie a box office success, so there will probably be a sequel at some point. Scott Cawthon, the creator of FNAF who also co-wrote the movie, has come out saying he's listening to feedback, so hopefully he takes the criticism of the first movie to heart and makes a sequel that keeps the fan service while also offering a better film experience for non-fans. Once we get to a point where video game movies are great experiences for fans and non-fans, the genre can truly flourish. Well, I'm done rambling for now. Leave your own ramble in the comments below. Have you seen the FNAF movie, and if so, did it live up to all your Faz dreams, or was it Faz bad? I'm sorry, I'm not a FNAF fan. I can't make any clever inside jokes. Thanks for listening to my ramble, and I hope you come back for the next one. Or.